Greetings YouTube, maineprimitive here. Sorry it's taken so long to bring you a video, and many thanks to those of you who have already subscribed to my channel. One of the reasons I haven't posted anything yet is that I've discovered that my phone does not get any kind of internet signal at all out where I am, and my battery seems to die much more quickly than anticipated. So unfortunately these updates may be a bit more sporadic than I'd hoped. On the other hand, when I do make it into town, it's likely that I'll be posting several videos at one time. I know that I had also promised to share my bug out bag recommendation with you all, but at this point, I think that may have to wait until winter when I pull my gear back out of camp. Well, here we are at the beginning of August. I made it up here to Maine around the end of April, the beginning of May, just as I had planned, but it pretty much rained non-stop through the end of June. During July, I was on the move back and forth from town to the woods, spending time digging in and setting up my camp in between storms and a few other things that kept calling me into town. But I finally got myself dug in, and I've now had a bit of time to settle into the routines of camp life and learn the rhythms of my new home. Now that the culture shock of moving from the suburbs of a major city to the middle of nowhere 5 miles from a paved road has passed, I'm about ready to get to work in earnest, late in the season though it is. I wanted to be much further along by this point, but as I said, it rained clear through June, and at this point it'll be all I can do to get my shelter completed before winter sets in. I've decided on a small log cabin structure, mainly because of the resources at my disposal and the severity of the winters, built around a central pit hearth that I'll use for heat and cooking. I'll be taking my camera tripod back in with me so I can share the construction details with you. My first step, and the one that will begin when I head back out this weekend, is selecting my trees and felling them. So far, I've been spending my time exploring the area around my new home and getting acclimated to the rhythms of extended outdoor life, getting to know the local wildlife and the everyday routines of the surrounding forest. I've been thoroughly enjoying the clear air and taking my water directly from a pristine stream. In the evenings, I usually go for a swim to wash off the sweat of the day's work before retiring to camp to cook my evening meal over an open fire. When night sets in, I stroll down the dirt roads and am awestruck by the number of stars that can't be seen near a city, and how crystal clear and bright they are here. There's nothing like having the Milky Way visible overhead every night, unless there's a full moon, which makes it seem almost as bright as day. I've seen plenty of wildlife up here. There are lots of frogs, at least 3 or 4 different species. One night several were on the move and headed through my camp on their way from one place to another. I daily watch the red squirrels and chipmunks running around doing their squirrely business through the woods. One day I went over to check out a stump that I had seen one sitting on earlier in the day eating pine cones, and found a large pile of pine husks and the stems from the center of the cones that had been tearing apart. It must be a favorite stump, it looks like it's used often. I see some turkey here and there, and I've kicked up a few grouse on my ramblings. Some nights I can sit and listen to the coyotes singing all around. I've discovered beaver ponds and stood quietly watching them play and work. One day I came across a pileated woodpecker plucking insects from a tree. There is every kind of spider imaginable here. It seems that every time I turn my head there's a new species to meet, and I'm glad they help keep the skeeters and flies in check. On a stroll one afternoon, I spied a black bear cub with a white V on his throat, whose mama scolded him deeper in the woods when he seemed just a little too curious about me. I recently saw my first live wild moose, a cow with 2 juveniles in tow. While filling up my water carrier one afternoon, I rescued a fish that had become stranded in a rock pothole as the water level in the stream subsided, a little yellow perch from the looks of him, so I picked him up and put him back in the main channel. So far the life has been treating me well, and I'm beginning to feel very at home here. It's about the height of the blueberry season, and I've harvested about 2.5 quarts from the bush in my wife's backyard, which is what has me in town right now, apart from the rain and a few other things that I have to take care of here. And there are about twice as many blueberries that'll be ripe within the next week or so. I've met some very nice people at here, but now I'm anxious to really get to work, and I look forward to sharing that with you shortly. Until next time, may your heart's compass lead you where you need to be.